everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be going over my life bullet journal with you. So in this journal, I typically pick a plant for every month that I'm going to theme it after, so this month I chose to theme it after the rubber tree plant. I do draw everything out in pencil first, that way I know kind of what I want to do in each section. For the cover pages and the Dutch door that I'm going to do here, I did pre-plan everything out in detail, but everything else in the bullet journal I did kind of roughly sketch it and then wing it as I went along. This month I ended up setting up my bullet journal really late. I think I finally recorded this on the 7th, and I don't normally set up my bullet journal this late in the month, but I really wanted to be able to record this video because I had so much fun last time I did it. Although the last time that I did a bullet journal video was for all of my spreads for June, and that video was so bad. I was trying to figure out how to do the setup and the lighting, and it's actually quite hilarious if you do want to go give it a look. It's really bad, but I'll link it in case you're interested. I really enjoyed doing this one with the rubber trees. It is a little bit tedious doing all of the leaves, but it definitely wasn't as tedious as the plant that I picked for July. That one had so many small leaves and took me a really long time to do, so this one was a little bit easier, and I still think it resembles the rubber tree, so I think I did okay with it. This time around, I filmed this video in my kitchen, so I had a lot of natural light because I just don't have that much coming into my study, and I really didn't want to have another dark video again, so I think that this one turned out a lot better this time. I had so much fun filming this, and I think I'm definitely going to be doing this every month. And I also plan on showing you guys my book bullet journal as well. That's where I keep track of everything for my YouTube channel and for Instagram as well, so if you want to go check that out, that'll probably be up next Thursday. But yeah, my favorite part of my life journal is my Dutch doors. I just love doing the cutout plant at the beginning and having the title of the month stick out, and I think it looks so pretty, so I hope you enjoyed it too. I also want to apologize. I don't go down and frame each one of these letters all the way down and then color them in. It's kind of very random as I go all the way along, so I was afraid of smudging some of the black. I really do like this font. I love this space in all of the letters. I think it looks really cool. I did this one in July, and so I carried it over to August too, and I think I might use it for the rest of the year unless I find something else that inspires me more than this one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing the lettering on this page. It did take me a while to get the spacing right, but I think it turned out really well. I'm really happy that I got back into bullet journaling. There's something so relaxing and inspiring when you end up drawing all of these pages yourself and setting up your own layouts, and I think that it really helps me hold myself accountable to getting a lot of things done, and I've really been enjoying setting these up again. I used to bullet journal a lot when I was in university, and I was really good at keeping up with it. And for some reason, after that, I just stopped for a couple years, so I'm really thankful that I got inspired to start doing this again, and even just filming these videos has been a really fun time for me. I feel like it's been a really creative outlet and opportunity for me to push myself a little more and just make sure that I am putting in that time for being creative for myself. I also usually choose a quote to go on the title page for my month, and this time I chose to go with, "I will not stress over things I cannot control." And especially right now during a pandemic, but I feel like this also relates pretty much any time in life. There's often external stressors that come up that are beyond our control, and this is just a friendly reminder to myself to learn to let those things go and to take more time to focus on the things that I am able to make a difference for in my life, like being creative, like spending more time for myself, like making sure that I am getting in that self-care and those additional things that I need, and reaching out to people that are important to me. And I hope that all of you are able to find some time to reach out to people you love and take time for yourself, to be creative for yourself, or even just to spend some downtime or some quiet time to just reflect. So I did leave a full 2 pages for my monthly calendar again. I know I don't have too much going on socially or even all that much to keep track of on my calendar, but I just really like these large spreads and having the doodle of the plant on the side. Since I don't have too much going on socially to be keeping track of, this is a great place for me to put in birthdays and copy them from my year at a glance pages and put in due dates for bills and other things like that, just to be tracking things in a bit more detail. I don't know what happened, or this probably has to do with becoming over-reliant on Facebook, but I used to be so good at remembering people's birthdays and texting everyone or wishing someone a happy birthday on that day, but now I just seem to forget, and I only ever remind people if Facebook reminds me, so I'm trying to get a lot better at that. That's been a goal that I set for myself for this year, is to make sure that I'm a bit more on top of giving those cheerful wishes on people's birthdays, because I remember when birthdays used to be a favorite time for me, and it's just such a nostalgic feeling that I don't really want to let that go. So you can see on the side when I drew the rubber tree plant in pencil, it's quite different from how I ended up doing it in the Micron pen later. And that's because the pencil was a very rough guideline, and usually I can see if there's leaves that are pointing in a different way that I don't really want them to go, so I always go back and edit it later when I'm going over it with the pen. And then here I have a quote that says, "Be proud of how hard you're trying," and it was especially hilarious to me at the time because I'm not very good at doing this calligraphy or the cursive writing on here and having some pieces to be thinner than others and have that heavier downstroke, and so I was laughing to myself as I was filling it in because I really did have to be proud of how hard I was trying in this part there. I did go back and fix a little bit of it later, so you'll probably end up seeing that. So now we've moved on to my August goals page, and I was going to grab a ruler and do this, but then I decided I wanted it to look a little bit more wobbly and rough, and I'm trying really hard to let it go and remind myself that bullet journals are a place to make mistakes and embrace them and go with the flow, so that's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of, so this is a space that I allowed myself to do that. I mean, there's also lots of spaces within my journal that definitely weren't perfect this time around, and I think I'm getting the hang of letting that go and enjoying those little imperfections. So for my goals here, I did break them down into different areas of my life that I want to work on, because I find breaking things down into smaller chunks makes it a bit easier to be able to tackle those goals. And so now we're moving on to the mood tracker. This is something that I implemented for the first time last month in July, and I really liked being able to keep track of how my mood has been changing and to overall see what it's been looking like for the month. It made me feel a bit more self-reflective and aware of my feelings. And then, as you can see here, I definitely didn't put the leaves exactly where I had drawn them out before, because when I did start setting all of this up, I completely forgot to put a section at the bottom for all of the little colors to signify what the different moods mean. So I had to squish everything up a little bit, but at least the pencil showed me the general way that I wanted most of the leaves to end up going. And you can see I probably went back and counted some of these to make sure that I did have the right amount of days for the month. In June, I went through a really difficult time of feeling really low energy and honestly feeling quite depressed, and I found it really hard to motivate myself and to be positive and make sure that I was implementing self-care. And then in July, when I implemented the mood tracker, it made it so much easier for me to not only just identify what I was feeling each day, but to become more aware of when I needed to start implementing some of those self-care techniques to make sure that I was able to get myself to a better place where I had more energy or my day-to-day was becoming a bit more manageable. And I can't say that the mood tracker is exactly what turned everything around for me, but I do feel that I have been doing a lot better lately, so it's definitely been a useful tool. And now I'm setting up the key at the bottom for all of the different moods, at least the categories of moods that I've been tracking. So we have fun, happy, calm, meh, sad, and stressed. And I'm not sure if these are quite what I want to be sticking with going forward, but I just searched up a key for a mood tracker on Pinterest, and this was the best one that I could find at the time, but I really do want to alter them and tailor them to become a bit more useful for me. For now, they're doing their job, but if you do use a mood tracker in your bullet journal, please let me know how you've broken down your moods, because I might like to redo this someday. And now I'm on to my habit tracker, and so I've definitely increased the amount of habits that I like to be tracking, because if there are some that I find that I'm struggling with, I like to pair them with something that I am doing well. So for example, in the mornings, I'm always great with remembering to do my skincare routine in the morning, but I tend to like to fall asleep reading a book, so I tend to forget to do my skincare at night. And I usually fill out my bullet journal at night, and when I see the reminder that I did do it in the morning, I get to check that off, and then seeing the one box fully completed but knowing that the other one might not be is just a little extra push to remind myself not to fall asleep with a book in my hands and make sure that I do end up doing my skincare first. I also do track habits for things that I just like to keep track of. So for example, like not spending money. It's not something like I'm not doing a no spend challenge or anything like that, but just trying to be more mindful of not buying things if I don't need them. I also have been finding it really encouraging to be making sure that I am doing habits in here for ones that I am really good at keeping up with, because having some of those boxes filled in makes you feel like you're succeeding a bit more, and I found it to be a bit more of a positive reinforcement than discouragement sometimes too, so that's been nice. And now we're on to my weekly spreads already. I also thought it was hilarious when I went back and looked over this to see that I used 2 different rulers. I don't know why. Apparently, I just like to use the small one on the smaller width. Don't ask. And then at the top left corner of every single one of my weeklies, I usually do a mini calendar, and then I highlight the week that we're on, just so I can visually see how many more weeks I have left of the month if I have some important deadlines coming up. So I feel like I get too lost in my weeklies sometimes that I forget that I'm running out of time for the month too. I also always do a Dutch door for my weeklies. I feel like it gives me a bit more space, but I can also visually see everything that I have going on in the week. So I do have some trackers that I keep on the outside pages, and then all of my dailies are on the inside pages. And you'll see here that I wrote the wrong date, and now I have to go back and fix it. So on the left-hand side underneath the calendar, I have a goals section. I usually write goals/tasks, but I didn't do it on this weekly by accident. But that's usually where I write some of those bigger things that I want to get done during the week but haven't assigned to a specific day. So for the top half of all of my dailies is where I write my tasks for the day, and then the bottom half I have the section for journaling, and I'm trying to make the bottom section more of a positivity or gratitude journal, just so I can try to keep those kinds of thoughts to the forefront of my mind to continue working towards a more positive frame of mind for myself. And then the top half where I do write my daily tasks, I'm purposely keeping it smaller than I used to, because I used to have a big problem with assigning myself way too much to get done during a day, and then when I wouldn't get everything done, it would be really discouraging. So I'm trying to make sure that I am taking a lot more time for myself, because I used to have a really bad habit of running myself into the ground and then getting really burnt out and having to take some time to recover later. So I'm trying to be a bit more proactive. And then I'm also trying to make sure that I'm planning all of my meals for the week, so that's what I have in the top right hand corner. And underneath that, I am tracking my fitness and hoping to get more walks or yoga or home workouts in, just to make sure that I'm being a bit more active, especially with working from home during quarantine. It's definitely impacted that. And tracking water was down at the bottom right. But now we're going back to my habit tracker. I'm starting to add in some color, so I'm highlighting all of the days in a light purple, and then I'm going to go over it in a dark purple up top for where I'm going to put the title, so the habit that I'm going to be tracking in each of those little sections for the month. Much like I choose a plant for each of my months, I also choose a color scheme, just because I tend to get bored of color a bit too easily, so this month was 2 shades of purple. So we are getting towards the end of the video here. We're about to go into the wrap-up, so I do want to take the time to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every single one of you, especially if you've made it this far through the video. If you do have any suggestions for a key that would work for a mood tracker, I would absolutely love to hear them, but please let me know what were your favorite parts of the journal, what are some things that you do that you really like in yours as well, and if you don't journal, is this something that you think you do, or does it seem like way too much work? Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and enjoy the flip through.